Hey everybody, welcome to PCP Movie Night here on Pop Culture Philosophers. Tonight we got a great one we're going to be talking about. PCP Movie Night, of course, is the show where we gather every single week on Monday night and we have a live conversation about our movie of the week. We have just kicked off Crew's Choice. It's the time of the year where everybody in the Excitable PCP crew gets to pick a movie to review, but this year the only difference is that it had to involve Tom Cruise. Therefore, a true Crew's choice. So we thought the bit was going to be funny, or I should say, I thought the bit was going to be funny, but man, it is shaping up into something special. All right, so this week we're going to be talking about Brooks's pick, and Brooks, I'm going to go ahead and break the kayfabe. Brooks did not want to pick a Tom Cruise movie. I think he almost wanted to boycott Crew's Choice this year, but I threw out some suggestions to him, and he picked one because he had never seen it before. And I'm telling you what, that was the fates bringing this movie back into my life. So Risky Business is what we're talking about tonight, starring Tom Cruise. And of course, it was his pick. So let's bring in Brooks for the co-chair tonight. What is up, my dude?
What's up?
You don't have
I wouldn't go so far to say that I would have boycotted Crew's Choice.
By the way, Paul Brickman was the writer and director of this film. One of only two films he directed. What's that?
Is he actually a man made of bricks?
Yes, he is. That's why it was difficult for him to come back and make another movie.
Right? That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
You know, we got a couple of first-timers here tonight. We're popping some cherries, which is very appropriate considering the movie that we're talking about, including the one and the only. Go check out 9-Panel Grid for some great weekly reviews. Just behind me and Nick, honestly. I mean, just behind me and Nick is Easy Eric. What is up, my man? How you doing?
Station gentlemen, I am so excited to be here with you guys and talk A Few Good Men. What a fantastic movie for Crew's Choice, man. Great pick.
I think you're saying out of all the movies, Brooks.
Wait, did I miss something? Did I watch the wrong movie here again?
Yeah. Oh. Dude, your first time here. You were supposed to be here for the Gladiator show.
Right? Serious Man.
Serious Man. Yeah, Serious Man. Yes. But you got sick. And
no. None of this. I was truly sick.
But I coerced you into joining us tonight for Risky Business. So thank you for being here. We also got the man with the plan. It's Jelani. What is up, my dude?
Station. I'm good. Good. Eric Brooks. Nice to see you as well. Absolutely. This is a wild one that you picked, Brooks. I'm almost angry and proud of you at the same time.
Yeah. All right, that sounded like a backhanded compliment. Speaking of backhanding, and he's going to be bringing up the rear tonight. Here we go with another cherry being popped tonight. I want y'all to welcome not only a close friend, but a member of my family. Like, he's not just a member of the PCP Army. He's not just like someone I know. He's not just a fan or anything like that. This dude is literally family to me. So y'all give a mighty warm station for his first appearance on this channel. It's John Castle Spiliotopoulos. What is up, my man?
I was going to say station, but because of this movie, let's just start off with what the fuck.
See, that was what I thought Brooks was going to come in with. I decided just to come in with the shades on, right? So
yeah. Well,
and not the official Teen Dog shades. These are the knockoff Ray-Ban Wayfarers that I had for my Blues Brothers Halloween costume that I did with John Hammertime Holshoe. So, but thank you so much for being here. Missing Link is planning on being here. We'll see if he can get his technical difficulty sorted. All right. This movie came out in 1983. And I've only ever seen this movie one time in my life. And I watched it when I was a kid. So there was a lot of, Robbie, turn your head away. That kind of action, right, going on. But this was a movie that was a rental, right? And I remember it, but I don't remember it, right? What I remember is what most people remember about this movie. Oh, this is the one with Tom Cruise. He's home alone, and he's running around singing Bob Seger in his tidy whities, and he runs a brothel out of his house, and he dunks a Porsche into Lake Michigan, right? Like, oh, yeah, it's one of those teenage sex comedies of the 80s. I watched this movie and was dumbfounded, absolutely dumbfounded, that I had never revisited this movie in my teenage years or my early adult years or my middle age years where I'm at right now. Why is this movie for 40 years basically been running around? This is the 40, or we just crossed 40 years in this movie, right? So like, this is like, I think that this movie almost does a disservice to itself because everybody just remembers it for the dance scene or certain bits or something like that, right? But watching this movie, this is an incredibly powerful, emotional, cold, and real, brutally real movie about human emotion, about greed and capitalism, about the 80s, about the Reagan era, about all this kind of stuff. This movie blew my mind rewatching it, like 100%. This was like first time watching it. Like I knew the certain bits to expect, but I had completely, because I was a kid when I watched this, all the nuance was over my head. I think this movie is absolutely phenomenal. And then you throw in that one of my favorite 80s band film composers is Tangerine Dream, right? They did Near Dark. They did the Legend director's cut, right? They did some really great work throughout the 80s. The music in this is phenomenal. It blew me away. I've been listening to that soundtrack. We'll talk about all this. I'm just going to say overall, I was blown the fuck away. Blown the fuck away. I think this movie might be my favorite Tom Cruise movie at this point.
What?
Blows me away. Blows me away. I'm serious as hell, man.
We haven't even started yet.
I'm not saying it's my favorite performance of Tom Cruise. I think it's my favorite movie that he's in. It's like, what if Michael Mann made a romantic comedy? You're going to get something like this. Blows me away. And then, of course, the writer-director Paul Brickman, he had written stuff before. This is the first thing that he directed. But, yeah, this was the first one he directed, and he didn't direct another movie until 1990, right? And it was because he had a fight with the studio over the ending of the film, and it's not his ending that's in this film. And if his ending was on the film, y'all, I would be like fucking jizzing on the screen right now. Let me tell you something, man. I fucking loved Risky Business. So to me, it was kind of like a first time watch. It was a first time watch kind of for Brooks as well, because you had seen bits and pieces. But Brooks, what did you think about Risky Business?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, like I've seen, like I didn't know what this movie was about. All I remember from back in the day was like the sock slide scene. And that was pretty much the only thing I remembered. But I had seen like bits of this movies back then. I just couldn't remember anything. So I didn't know what it was about or anything. I just remembered it was a comedy with Tom Cruise in it. And I really liked this movie, dude. Like, I was surprised by how much I enjoyed this movie. It strikes this very weird balance between this kind of comedy, like a kind of almost suspense drama type thing. And I think like Tom Cruise's performance, I think, is a lot better in this one. Like, I liked him a lot better in this movie than I did in Days of Thunder. Like, I thought he was much more relatable in this movie. I think.
Trust me, Brooks, this is not a crazy statement, but it is better than Days of Thunder.
I think I might like this movie a bit better than Days of Thunder. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, like I'm glad I picked this one. Like, I ended up really, really enjoying it.
Heck yeah, I am glad too. And Charlie, Minority Report is actually coming up here in Cruise Choice. So just wait a few weeks and we'll be talking about that one. Eric, thank you so much for being here. I kind of like twisted your arm and I was like, look, I got Risky Business. I need people. I need people. Nobody seems to want to do it. So what did you think about the movie? What's your history with it?
Well, much like Brooks, this is my first time actually ever seeing it. We all know the sock scene, and that was it. That was my whole exposure to it. So this one, I was flying blind. I just went in first time, and I gotta say, like, I feel like I agree with a lot of the things you guys are saying, but maybe in a different aspect. This movie kind of gave me whiplash a little bit. It kind of feels like I can't figure out which way I feel like this goes, but it's almost like, what if John Hughes directed Wall Street, or what if Oliver Stone directed Fast Times at Ridgemont High? It's kind of feeling somewhere in that realm there, but it had a lot of enjoyable things. But I'll be honest, maybe it's just because I'm not overdosing on Tom Cruise like you guys, but I think this is actually maybe down a rung or two on where I would rank all of his performances in there.
Well, yeah. I mean, performances I don't think it's his strongest performance. It's very early in his career. Before this, he had done Taps, of course. He had been in The Outsiders, and I think only like one or two other things, maybe, right?
Mhm.
And right after this is All the Right Moves, I believe, right? Which I think the success of this movie, and it was a huge success. I think the success of this movie was why All the Right Moves kind of got some traction. And then a few years later, we get Top Gun, and now Tom Cruise is cemented as an American Hollywood idol, basically. Like, he is a dude. And I used to always say this, and this is one of the reasons why the Cruise choice bit was so funny to me. Tom Cruise is that dude that we seem to like all hate, but he's in a lot of good movies, right? And I think I'm a Tom Cruise fan. I do. Like, I mean, I gave a glowing review of Days of Thunder last week, y'all. I think I'm a simp for Tom Cruise, man. Speaking of simps, Jelani, what'd you think about Risky Business?
Well, I mean, he's not wrong because I am also a simp for Tom Cruise. I've been trying to get him to watch Tom Cruise movies for a while. We even did that whole Mission Impossible thing.
Yeah, that's what really started turning the corner, bro.
Yeah.
Was when
Mission
I got to
Impossible
the second half of the Mission Impossible franchise.
Yeah, that's what did it for
Or
me.
get past 2 at least.
Yeah, he was doing his own stunts. He's doing all this other crazy shit. He's a wild fellow, that Tom Cruise guy. Other than his
I heard for this
Scientology-
movie, he actually went to the roughest places of Chicago to pick up sex workers.
Yeah, sounds about right. He likes to do the real thing. You know, I don't know if he was in Scientology back then, but I'm pretty sure they were luring him in. L. Ron Hubbard was sitting in the background. Like,
This might have been the movie that put
this
him
one.
on the radar.
Yeah, this one will do it. Yeah, it's surprisingly, I've never seen this movie either. I've only just take those on records, Joe. I mean, it's Bob Seger, and no, that's the only thing I remember about it. That's it. And I've never wanted or had a desire to watch it. I knew Rebecca De Mornay was in it, and I'm like, she was in Hands Rocks the Cradle. Cool. You know, and I saw that when I was a kid, and I was like, that's wild, but she's way more sexy in this one.
Dude, it is like,
She's
it's
like-
beyond sexy. It's straight
it's-
into like the
yeah.
idea of what sensuality is, man.
Yes.
It's like,
She was nailing
Dude.
it. Whatever it
if
was.
only everybody's first time having sex was like as fucking epic as his, dude. Like the fucking door slams open, the
Yeah.
wind comes,
Wind comes
through,
in and leaves.
Tangerine
Like,
Dreams going.
And so patriotic too, with the American flag
The
waving
flag,
in the background.
Yeah.
It felt like it was a dream, man, like an actual dream. I thought it was like he's gonna wake up. And
What
like,
if it
this
is a dream? What if it is a dream? They're pulling.
That's
a
what I was
joke, and
thinking.
this
Like,
is
what if
actually,
it- like maybe this whole movie is just a dream.
yeah,
Yeah.
it could
Like,
be a dream, and
He
it's
had
a
an
prequel,
uneventful time, and he just
Yeah.
made this all up in his head.
and it's a prequel to American Psycho.
Yeah, it is.
That would make
He
sense.
listens to the Huey Lewis in the news, and that's the end.
Yeah,
Puts in sports.
Yeah, he's just,
it's just really cool. I think it's a good movie. If this in his early career that did really well. That I like the cast. The music's great. The everything is pretty decent in this movie. I'm mad at Brooks because you randomly picked this movie, and it could have been anything else, and it was still. This is still a damn good movie. I mean, you pull some good choices out of your ass, Brooks. And this one was just random as all get out. So I commend you for that. It's not bad. I really liked it. The sex on a train is probably one of my favorite scenes of all time, but just because the guy that's eating the fucking cookie while he's watching them, and he's like, "You got to get off this train. you got to get the fuck off this train."
yeah, that's a rough sight when you got a raging heart on, man. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying?
You're like, I can't have you watching me do this prostitute. Oh yeah, and by the way, I'm gonna say whore a lot in this, or hua, because we're sex positive here at PCP. But Joey Pants is in this movie, and Joey Pants is in Sopranos, of course, and says hua a lot. And I'm mad he didn't say it once in this movie. I was very sad, very, very sad. But yeah, good movie, good choice.
Yeah, it's a really, really good pick. All right, Spilio. When I mentioned that I had Spot here and I wanted you to come on, you were really excited for this movie. So I know you got a history with it. Tell us your history. Tell us what you think about the movie overall.
Well, overall, I love it, but the history of it is kind of a little strange because my father, who is from Greece and everything like that, and he wanted to be more like a friend than a father. So he took me and I was 13 at the time, and my brother was 11. So he took us to go see this and everything. And I have to say, Rebecca De Mornay was my first nude girl that I have ever seen. So, and my father wasn't like, oh, turn away. He wasn't like that. He was just like, this is the way it is, boys, and this is the way it is, right? So I had a huge crush on Rebecca De Mornay for many, many years, you know? And so, but I didn't know this much when I was 13 and everything. But then when it went to rental on VHS tape, then, you know, of course, the nudity and everything, that's what you remember. And so a bunch of my friends watched this, and it just brought back memories and everything. Because you got to remember, at this time, I really enjoyed it. The second time, obviously better than the first, because I was a little bit older. But you got to remember, back then, a lot of the comedies and all stuff like that was like Porky's and everything like that. And for some reason, people thought this was going to be a Porky's, but it wasn't. It was more sophisticated. It was more, like Robbie said, capitalism. I don't know how to say it, but anyway, but it was, and of course, Tom Cruise was the it guy at that time. He could do no wrong, even with Legend and all stuff like that, but he couldn't. And you could actually see him get better. And I learned a lot later about, what I'll get into later, about how he got the job and why he got it. So it's pretty amazing. And you could actually see back then the Tom Cruise that we see now.
Oh,
so, yeah. The beginning.
100%.
Yeah.
I love it because it is a teenage sex comedy in the 80s, right?
Mhm.
But like you said, it's more sophisticated. I would say I think it's the smartest and most intelligent teenage sex comedy I've ever watched.
Oh, by far.
It still has those bits. It still has those jokes.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of layers to this film, and it's also shot very artistically.
Oh,
right,
yes.
which we'll get into. But now let's get into that cast. It's got a great cast. Some people that this is their first roles, pretty much, for a lot of people. Like, I don't know if it's their exact first role of Rebecca De Mornay, but it's very early. It's early Tom Cruise. It's early everybody that's in this movie. And I hate that two of the actors in this movie that I love, I know them mostly from some of their most like Balky and Booger are in this movie. And that's what I call them, you know what I'm saying? But Brooks, let's dive into that cast. What's a performance you want to highlight as one of your favorites?
Well, I can't remember. I don't know the actor's name, but he's been in a lot of things. But it's Miles, the guy who plays Miles, the friend who basically sets him off.
That's Booger.
On the
That's
path.
Booger.
Yeah. Booger.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is Booger. Yeah.
Yes, Curtis Armstrong is his name. He's also in Southland Tales. He was in
He's Booger.
He's
I
Booger.
remember he had a lot of bit parts back in the day.
Yeah, he did. He's an 80s guy. He's
in
big 80s.
Moonlighting.
A big-
Moonlighting.
Yeah, he is a Moonlighting.
Moonlighted. Big time.
Yep.
Big time 80s.
Yeah, it's an interesting character because, like, at first he seems like this kind of like wise, almost like sage-like character, but then you find out later he's just an asshole.
Yeah.
He's getting his friend into trouble just cause.
I don't have to pay for it.
Just
He's kind of like the devil on his shoulder, almost,
yes,
like his
Do it.
anti-conscience.
do it.
Do it.
Just bugging him,
Yeah,
man.
I really
He's
enjoyed
like
his
Shia
performance, 'cause,
LaBeouf plays him in the
I love
remake.
He
I love it when he realizes he's getting in over his head, but he actually is able to just kind of dip out of it when he wants to. Because I think that's like kind of the thing about his character too, is like he's portrayed as somebody who doesn't have the kind of anxieties that Tom Cruise's character does. Because I guess he's so smart that he'll easily ace the test. He doesn't have to worry about college or any of that.
Yeah.
It seems like maybe his family's probably a little better off too. Which Tom Cruise's family is obviously not that bad off either. They have like 3 fucking vehicles. So.
Oh, they're
What is
all
the
pretty
Porsche?
fucking well done.
Oh,
And, what's
yeah.
crazy is that it's actually the house that they filmed it in. Joel's house is in the same neighborhood as the Ferris Bueller house. And there's a lot of similarities between these two movies,
Yeah.
if you really think about it, and a lot of similarities with some other John Hughes films, right? So like this is what, but man, this really stands out, man. And you're right, Booger's great in this movie, Curtis Armstrong. But I love when he's in the back of the Porsche when they're being chased by Joey Pants, and he's just like, you know, I'm supposed to be studying for my midterms or whatever, but I'm being chased by a killer pimp named Guido.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then, like you said, there's nuance to that character because it shifts and changes, and you realize he doesn't necessarily have this dude's back. Like he does it all, like in like I don't know. He almost kind of like becomes like a snob about it at the end, right? But I feel like it shows an insecurity within him that is very, very subtle. Like maybe I'm thinking too much about it, but I don't think I am. I think this movie's fucking brilliant. Speaking of brilliant, if you think a lot about it, Eric, what's a performance you want to highlight? Should we tell him?
No.
He's doing the bit.
No, I promised myself I would never do it. So I'm gonna have to go with Rebecca De Mornay for the performance. I think that she actually delivers probably the top tier performance of this movie. I don't know, like she flips a switch so easily from being like this loving, caring individual who is clearly being manipulative this entire time, and she plays Joel like an absolute fiddle. I mean, from start to finish throughout this movie. By the time we get to the end, I'm still sitting there wanting to scream at the screen, going, "Joel, what are you doing? Get out of there! Run! Run! This is bad news. It was good news a second ago, but now it's bad news. Go, dude."
To be fair, I'd let her play me too.
For $300.
I think that's a steal by today's rates.
Everything. Yeah, it is a steal.
Yeah, how do you calculate the inflation
Delaney,
there?
what do you know? I mean, is that a steal?
I pay for it.
I don't have to pay for it. What are you, Booger down there? Delaney, though, what is a real quick. We got our man Missing Link in the house. What is up, my dude? Okay, we don't. All right.
It was great while it lasted.
Yeah, it was like you bring us up, then
Yep, that's what Rebecca De Mornay does to Tom Cruise.
I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you. Now we can't hear you.
What?
Nope.
All right, Delaney, what's a performance you want to highlight, my man?
I do want to like piggyback off Eric, but saying that Rebecca De Mornay's character is layered, and she's really good. Like in this movie, she is just as manipulative as you say. She is a liar from beginning to end. Like I don't trust her. I don't trust her, but she can get it. It's just, and that's how I guess her game is played. But of course, he says he picked her. I'm gonna pick my favorite, my second favorite, which is Joey Pants, which is Guido. Joey, I can't say his whole name. Pants, it doesn't matter.
Pantoliano, I believe, something like that.
It's Joey Pants.
Joey, yeah.
He's always my favorite character in most things. He is one of my favorite characters in Bad Boys, which Robbie, one of these days you're going to watch Bad Boys. But
only if you pick it for Cruise choice. I'm going to keep finding clever ways to avoid that, like having Tom Cruise choice.
Yes. Okay.
Next year, we'll be like, it's all Van Damme movies, guys.
It's Terry Crews' choice.
Yes.
Terry Crews.
That's a brilliant idea.
It is.
Oh my God, we got to do
We
it.
can do
Friday
White Girls.
3 is coming.
Yeah. But yeah, Joey Pants is awesome. The fact that I didn't know that he was in this movie until he went up to the window and started tapping the gun. I was like, holy shit, it's Joey Pants. It is. And I love The Sopranos, and I can't remember his damn character in The Sopranos.
Oh man.
Oh crap. Somebody please say something in the comments, but I cannot remember it right now. But that's one of my favorite characters. He's one of my favorite characters, Sopranos. Like, hands down. His death is one of the best deaths ever in The Sopranos. It's just I love his character. I love how he's not really violent.
Ralphie. He played Ralph.
He played Ralph. That's right. Ralph
Cifaretto or Cifaretto, something like that. Yeah.
Ralph Cifaretto. Yeah, Ralph was a hated character. Everybody hated him, but I was like, oh yeah, he's perfect. He was just one of those characters that he killed a girl just because she was like going to tell his wife that they were together. And he's just an awful person. He was an awful human, and the way he died was just beautiful. Just kiss. But all of his characters are always like this. He's just one of those cool dudes that's in here, and he's, like I said, he's not violent. He's just very passive aggressive. God made him mad.
He's kind of congenial, man.
Yeah,
he's kind of like, I'm trying to help you out, kid. I'm trying to help you out. Tell you what, I'll give it to you for 40, but you owe me.
You owe me 300. Yeah, I can't. Everybody was in on it. That's the worst part. Like Rebecca De Mornay ruined him. Like she started by stealing the egg.
No, but did she ruin him? Because I mean, I think she's a part of it, but like what I'm saying is what he's trying to do with the future enterprisers and everything, right? He learns a lot about that from her.
$8,000.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, $8,000 for one night. And it's really cool that this is a really smart movie, buddy. Man. It's okay, dude. Sorry about that. Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yep. But he's a great character. That's all I want to say. I mean, I love him because he could be worse, but he's not kind of situation in this movie. And Rebecca De Mornay was my favorite character because, she's naked.
Word. Okay. Spilio, what about you? What's a performance you want to highlight?
I got two, very small ones, but they were very big in the movie. Well, one of them for sure was Vicky. Okay. Because when I first saw Vicky, I thought she was hot as crap. I thought she was it. I thought she was
Vicky the friend?
Vicky was a friend that actually screwed him over and helped with Guido at the end. But for some reason, I just remembered her better than Rebecca De Mornay. I thought she was actually prettier or anything like that. I don't know why. Back then she definitely had the 80s look. Okay, with the high
hair,
makeup, exactly.
Yeah.
But the one that I want to say this because I actually had trouble in the beginning of what is going on was Jackie was the first prostitute that came out that actually was, well, back then it was trans, but now we can understand it was a drag queen or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it was weird. What the hell is going on? What is this? I'm 13. Okay. Remember. And then I remember watching it again saying, oh, okay. Now I understand what's going on. I understand the uncomfortability with it. But then I realized that the movie really did it justice with sophisticated, but it was so easy to make her a joke, and they didn't. But the main thing is that there would be no Lana in this movie if it wasn't for Jackie. Because if she gave her, him the number, then nothing would happen. So I
know what white boys want.
Yep. And I really liked it. They didn't hide it, with the deep voice. It wasn't campy. So I thought that was actually, and I actually rewatched it the other day, and I haven't seen it in so many years. And I was like, wow. This was in the 80s and it wasn't a joke. So I enjoed that.
So it is a little bit of a joke, right? Because Jackie is definitely not what Joel's expecting.
Exactly.
Right? No, but then they don't go far into that joke, and they just kind of they actually play it very level-headed. And for 1983, it's downright fucking progressive.
You gotta pay me. You gotta pay me for my time.
Yeah,
and cab fare.
Cab fare.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's fair enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it ain't quite, the Blue Oyster and Police Academy, right? For me, I think it would be not cool if we didn't mention Tom Cruise as Joel Goodson. That's very veiled.
Yeah.
But no, he's, it's not his best performance in a movie probably ever. You know what I'm saying? He's done better, but he's young. But like you said, John, everything that is Tom Cruise is here in this movie. It's all there. And this is like one of the first times you see him like channel the Jack Nicholson energy, which he also does throughout his career, right? And you kind of see that here. And he plays this role incredibly well. And there were other people that were considered for this role. And I think if other people would have played this role, like if Tom Hanks would have played this role or Sean Penn or somebody, it would not have been the same movie. So I do think that he's vitally important to the success.
Yep.
I also want to give a special shout out to anytime I see this dude in the movie, it always winds up one of my favorite movies, whether it's Beverly Hills Cop or whether it's True Romance or whether it's one of my favorite sitcoms of all time, Perfect Strangers, Bronson Pinchot, right? Balky is in this movie. Very small part, but man, I was cracking up when he's like letting all the fucking sex workers in the fucking house and he's just got this big ass smile and he's just staring straight at tits, man. He's just like, yeah. And he's the treasurer, right? He's back there doing all that.
Yeah.
I really love him. And I love the scene where he's getting high and the ice cream cone is melting all over fucking Tom Cruise's fucking hand and shit. Oh man. I really liked him in the movie because he felt like an earnest and good friend as opposed to Booger, right?
One of the true
Booger was the
friends
worst.
that want. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll give a special shout out to the parents because they play those obnoxious 80s movie parents very, very well. Yeah. Do not touch the
Bitching
equalizer
about that
settings.
and cracking the egg.
Hey, raise your
I'm
hand if
like-
you had a dad who was really fucking uptight about his fucking equalizer settings. So
Man.
hell yeah. A great cast in this movie, but it's also got style and it's got some structure. So let's talk about this style. One of the first things I said was, what if Michael Mann made a romantic comedy? You'd get something like this.
Yeah.
Michael Mann is one of my favorite filmmakers, right? And I don't think he gets talked about enough. So I always try to bring him up whenever I can. A lot of people love Heat, right? And Heat is one of his best movies. But even movies like The Insider or Ali or Manhunter or even his remake of his TV show, Miami Vice, I think is underrated, right? I love Michael Mann. He has this way, especially with using music, right? Where he can kind of like transport you into a scene, especially when it's involving the 80s, right? And maybe the connection is because of the music, right? And for instance, In the Air, I Can Feel It in the Air Tonight is used in this film. Miami Vice was going to blow that shit out in another year for that song.
Yep.
Right? But like Michael Mann has this beautiful way of filming things and making things feel cold and melancholy. Like think about, we talked about Manhunter a couple years ago in March Madness, right? Think about how like cold that movie is, but at the same time it's beautiful, but it's also like kind of tragic, and the music and the cinematography, the framing, the composition of the shots, it's amazing. Like this movie is shot incredibly fucking well, and it's beautiful. It is beautiful. The way it uses everything in the frame, the way it's edited together, it does not waste time. If anything, I could have stayed in this movie for a little bit longer, right? You didn't actually have to end it when you did, but they did because it was the right time to end the movie. So it's got a really tight editing pace to it, right? So I think structurally, it is incredibly solid. And I think style-wise, it oozes style. And I think its style is more influential than a lot of us like to think or give it credit for, because I know that Miami Vice and some other stuff in the 80s kind of vibed on this kind of feel of cool but cold, right? And that is definitely a way that I would describe the 80s, right? Like cold and cutthroat, but at the same time, oh, it's all cool. It's all about let's make it beautiful on the outside, but let's also then pierce that beauty and really get into the core of what is wrong with society and where we're going. And this movie is a warning, right? So I fucking think the style and structures is fantastic. The one thing I will say is this. You can find the original ending on YouTube. You can watch it. If you're not familiar with the original ending, it's very similar, right? But so this movie, they have that conversation at dinner, and then they're in the park, and she's like, you think we'll ever see each other again? He's like, well, I don't know. And he's like making jokes and referencing the dialogue from when they first met. And it ends kind of funny, right? it still ends with a slightly ambiguous nature. But in the actual ending, that what's his name? Phil Brickman?
Yeah.
Paul Brickman.
Paul.
The actual ending, like, and dude, it really bothered him. He didn't direct a movie again, right? He did one more after this, but and he still is apparently really fucked up about this. But the ending is they're at the restaurant, and he's like, hey, what did you have anything to do with that? She has this longing stare. She goes, no, but you won't. He goes, was it all just a setup? And she thinks about it. Then she says no. So it is almost like a reveal that she did set it up, but it wasn't all a setup.
She knew
right?
it. Both when it was a
yeah, but the point
pause,
is, it's not all a
she
setup
did it.
because she does fall for this dude, and you get the sense in the original ending that she now realizes this dude's going to go off and be something big, and she's going to be Joey Pants' sex worker. She's going to be the prostitute, right? That's what she's going to be. And there's this nuanced sense of like melancholical tragedy that comes from it. And then, like she did for him throughout the movie, he brings her over and comforts her. But you know it's all a grift now. He's just trying to make her feel better because now he is fully transformed into fucking Gordon Gekko or whatever the fuck, right? Like he's about to be Patrick Bateman, right? That's what's going to be happening. That's the lesson he learned. Greed is more important than money. That's the lesson he learned because he gets away with everything. We'll talk more about that later on. What do you think about the style and structure, Brooks?
Well, I like the style of this movie. Like it is, it's kind of strange because it's like it is a comedy even when comedic things are happening. It doesn't feel like a comedy, you know. It doesn't have that. Like a lot of the scenes don't have the comedic atmosphere. Some of them do, like the sock slide scene, but others feel more dramatic. I think the music has a lot to do with that as well. But you know, this movie, like, it does strike this kind of balance between, like, you know, comedy and, like, kind of a dramatic at the same time. It's like, it does feel like there are stakes to this movie, but they're not, like, exactly, I wouldn't say they're, like, not high, but, I mean, considering, like, you know, this kid, like, you know, to this kid, they're high. Like, you know, his parents getting home and, like, finding out that he sunk his dad's car in a lake and shit. But, you know.
He gets that shit fixed within like a week, by the way. That's the most unrealistic thing about this movie.
Hell yeah.
I have a question about that. Like, how long were the parents on vacation? A month? I don't know.
Yeah, no shit. They're on like a worldwide cruise or something.
Yeah.
They're on Magellan's ship.
Well, the whole point was like that this scheme was a way to get money, like a lot of money really quick. Like that was the whole thing. It's like, why would you, you know, try and make money the legitimate way when you can just get like a lot of money like real quick, real easy. But yet, like, this movie it feels kind of like a lot of it throughout it feels dreamlike. That's why I thought like when it was over, I was like, man, what if like it was just a dream? Like, what if it was just him, like he just imagining this like crazy adventure he'd have, you know, while his parents are out of town, and like, you know, none of it was really real. But yeah, like, and there's a lot of scenes like that sock slide scene. Like, I love the way it's like, you know, just the shot of the hallway, and he just like slides into the screen and then like goes into the middle. Like, and it's mirrored a little bit in later scenes as well, you know, that kind of shot. But like, really, I thought it was a great style-wise movie.
Hell yeah.
And structure as well, I suppose. It was pretty
Hell yeah. What do you think, Eric? What do you think about the style and structure?
From the opening of the movie, you knew that you were in for something special because, like, the whole beginning dream sequence, I remember as that was playing out and as it was finishing up, like sitting there and thinking, we just don't see this in movies nowadays. We haven't seen this in movies for a long, long time. And it was, I don't know, man, like it just had like a rush back to me, like of all the movies from the 80s. And I think that they did something that was really inventive and interesting, especially for this guy being the first time director, is that things felt purposeful that were very different from what the type of movie was that I think was kind of being billed as like one of those coming of age comedies where like we saw these big sweeping camera moves, right? Like in the very beginning dream sequence, as you move through the mist of the shower scene into the classroom, it was really intentional. But then in the same vein, when we have the scene where he slides into frame, it's very still and it's like locked onto that. Like everything is done with purpose, but there was like that's the kind of stuff you usually see in these kind of comedy movies. It's like a locked camera, people are talking, making jokes. Okay, next scene, locked camera, move on, make another joke. This had real intentional camera movement. Same thing when the Porsche does make it down into Lake Michigan. You know, it's somewhat played for laughs. It's kind of a hokey, funny scene, but at the same time, like I don't think it's played up that way. And I think it was really cool the way that they, I don't know, that they had the camera move the way that they did when he's on the hood of the car and when it finally comes crashing down. It was just, there's no way if you told me that this was this guy's first movie that I would have believed that he was able to pull so many different tricks out of a bag that quite frankly shouldn't exist.
Yeah. I like what you're saying, man. Deliberate, right?
Yes.
It's deliberate. It's intentional. And it's artsy. You know,
Yeah.
that's I mean, that's a word that gets thrown around usually negatively, right? But no, it really is. Like this is a dude who understands that film is art. We're telling a story, and he's like, I can use this popular genre that's being blossomed ever since Porky's, really, right?
Mhm.
And I can actually do something interesting with it, visually and thematically, right? So, God.
And it seems like so simple too, but even the scene when they're in the hotel as well, when he finds out where he's going to be able to meet up with her, and it's showing him up on the balcony and, you know, seated with his friend looking down, and it's looking down at her from the distance at the same vantage point that he's at. Simple stuff, but you just don't see that in this type of movie. So
No. Yeah,
Good stuff.
exactly. American Pie, eat your fucking heart out, right?
yeah.
All right. What about you, Delaney? What do you think about the style and structure?
Yeah, I agree with you guys, man. It's very purposeful. It's very direct in things that it's trying to tell you. I like I said, I go back to the train scene. I love that whole sequence. That's probably, like I said, it's one of my favorite sequences in this movie. It's very, I don't know, it's sensual, and at the same time, it's like it had its funny moment, but then it went back to being sensual, and the shots of the train and them making love, like in between, it was good. I really liked that. It was well put together. Going back to the other love scene at the very beginning where she just walks in, like I said, it was like a dream. It's shot perfectly. She walks in the room. The door is already open. That's why I thought it was a dream. I was like, how in the world are you not knocking on the door like you're like his first encounter? And she just walks in, and he's laying on the couch. She walks over and just puts her leg up, and she's like, "Are you ready, Ralph?" You know, and it's just, I don't know. It's kind of it's weird, but you get it. Like that whole scene. It felt like a dream, but it was actually happening. And it tells it really well. And the doors bust open, which is a little too on the nose. That is a little too on the nose. But at the same time, it's still shot well. I think it's paced well. It's an hour and 30 minutes. It's basically, it's a merciful movie. It tells the story it needs to tell, and it gets the hell out of there. I will mention one thing. There was some kids in that house, and them girls was going up to them kids. I got some issues with that. I don't know why. I mean, although good on them.
Yes.
Still, wow.
In the original script, Lana and Joel are the same age, and the producer was like, "Let's make her 21." I'd feel better if we did that.
Yeah, because what? He's 17. He's got to be
like 17, 18, I guess, something like that. His senior year of high school.
Yeah. He was in between, but yeah, I think it's beautifully shot. It's done really well. Yeah, and like you said, Robbie, it's like a Michael Mann feel to it. It does have a Michael Mann feel to it in a lot of different scenes. It's just sometimes you think it might be a little too long, but it's not. It cuts it off right at the right time before it gets too weird.
Yeah.
The ending kind of bothers me because I know she was playing him the whole time. She played him the entire trip. She lied about it and made sure she lied about it. And I just think that of course she fell for him, but at the same time she knew what she was doing from Jump Street. Like, guy won't pay me. He goes to get the money. Basically, she's supposed to go with you when you go get the money. If you go to the bank, You give her the money. You
Technically,
drop her
you're
off
supposed to
with
give her the money before any action.
Beforehand.
Right.
happens.
She's supposed to. She should have said, "Are you ready for it, Ralph?" She should have said, "Hey, we got to lay some ground rules down. You know, the safe word is peach, and it's $300." And he's like, "$300? I ain't got $300." End of the thing.
Yeah.
I got some bonds I can get from the bank. We can get it in the morning. Yeah, they ain't supposed to stay that long. She ain't supposed to stay that long. She wasn't supposed to be there like in the morning looking at you. And $300, she got a whole night. That's a whole night. You talking about $300 was her whole night? I'm sorry. There's a whole bunch of questions I got. That's issues. That's just prostitute issues I have with me. You ain't even. She's supposed to be like, you ain't even my whole night. $300. Let's go. You know, and then you take it to the bank. You take the ATM, get your bond. You give her the money. Have a nice evening. Continue on with the rest of your night. Don't kiss her in the mouth. Have a great night. And that's it. That's it. I'm sorry. There's hua logic that's missed in this movie. I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep saying it because Joey Pants says it. So
But
it's logic.
for
There's logic in the movie. You pay them, they go away, or she goes away. And
You got some definitive personal rules about sex work.
are you
See?
Yeah, are you
I've never
either
done it. I've never
you
done
a
it,
pimp,
but
a
I'm pretty
John,
sure
or a
that's
trick?
what
I don't know
I'm
what the hell you are.
It used to be $100. It used to be $100, and they'd be like, "I'm done now. Next," you know, and they go back on the street, and that's how it works. To them streets, the streets. I'm done.
All right, Spilio, what do you think about the style and structure of the film?
Well, obviously, again, I have two views on it. One, the first time seeing it, totally sex. You know, a little bit comedy, but I didn't see the comedy back then. But rewatching it, seeing the way it was shot and everything like that, and being more artistic and me being more drama, and then seeing how the 80s were, it's funny to say, but the 80s was capitalism, but how to make more money. That was the number one thing in the 80s. Who can make more money? And who, you know, how they say it was the Reagan effect, whatever, you know, but seeing it now, I could see it. That's what the main thing was. How do I make money? And I don't care how I make it, as long as I make a lot. So between that and of course with the sex, I really liked that they didn't go like how we said before. They didn't go the Porky's route, you know, where it was just the sex and sex and sex. This was, you know, more, I don't want to say adult, but you know what I mean. Like the scene for
Mature.
Immature. The scene for me that really put it over the top where Jelani said, well, there was two. There was the train scene, which was really, the music made it top notch. You were like on your seat with the boom, 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 and you know, you're like, when's it going to happen? When it's going to happen? But the other one for me was when he asked for his friend his bike, you know, and he was riding the bike to her at the end of the movie. And the way they shot it was him really vigorously going at it and everything, and him not being in focus in the beginning. If you notice, he's not in focus. But then when he gets to her apartment, you know, it's all clear, it's all good. But then you also see him in anxiety and everything, him running up the steps, because he could have took the elevator, but he didn't. He ran to her. And then once they got into the apartment, there was no words said, zero. All they did was look at each other, him being all sweaty and everything. And that's the part that I want to ask Jelani is, did she fall for him at that moment? Did she? Or was she still playing him?
She was playing him to an extent because she had to get him away from the house so they could steal the stuff out of the house.
Oh.
So the second she said, I can be your girlfriend for a couple of days, I was like, oh, she playing him. That's it.
No charge.
she had him wrapped up. That was wrapped up.
Yeah.
She was like Guido. She did the whole Guido thing. In fact, she had him when she stole the egg. Somehow she knew he was going to find out where she was. So when she walked in with Joey Pants or whoever she walked in with, she saw him, and she was like, "Man, Guido, I got a mark for you. I saw this house. She's been all through the house. She slept with him that whole night. Like I said before, they got rules. She had rules where she was like, she came in, she saw the house, she saw it was a little boy. He was honest with her in the morning and said, hey, this is a nice house you got, all these things. She'd been all through that house. She knows everything about it.
Oh, sure.
And she slept there that whole night. Usually you take your $300, you go home. And that's it. You go get your other $300 another way. But what she did was she waited and she planned it. Men are in love. Women are in business.
Oh, he fell in love.
He fell in love with her
like that. Yes.
Like that. But
I
she
think.
was like,
Wait, here's the thing.
Yes.
He fell in love.
I
about
know
business.
love stories. Don't tell me wrong. I don't know love
Hold on.
stories.
No, I'm saying, but by the
No.
end of this movie,
He fell in love.
by the end of this
He
movie,
fell in
they
love.
flip those scripts.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't think so though.
I do.
But
I
she
do.
lied. She lied to him when he asked, were you a part of
Because
this?
that's the tragedy of
This
it, brother. Because what's
But
more important than love and connection? Making money, making more money, no matter what. What the fuck? Make the money, right? That's the point to me.
But did she ever fall for him?
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't think
A
so,
little
man.
bit.
Remember Guido when he
A
was
little
there at the
bit.
very end?
I'm with
He-
Eric.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, I heard she took you on the choo-choo train." Lana loves the choo-choos.
Exactly.
Come
How
on.
did he know that?
He said
Yes.
it was a setup from Jump Street.
It was, but I'm telling y'all, the original ending paints it a slightly different way, but with nuance. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That's the tragedy of it.
He was
He
in
starts
business.
out innocent.
She made
She
$8,000.
breaks his innocence. She breaks his innocence, but at the end of it, he's going off to Princeton.
And
She's still
coach.
in a position she doesn't want to be in.
Correct.
And that's the tragedy of it, man. Like I'm telling you, man,
sucks,
I don't
but
know.
she ain't in love. She was not
I think
in love.
maybe not in love, but she's definitely there's something there where, because like Introspect says, the entire time she's there, yeah, she's scoping the place out. But what is she also doing? Playing house. She's wearing his sweaters. She's cooking
was
breakfast.
wearing
Now
his
that could
clothes.
all be part of the play,
But she's
but I think that this is a life that she wants.
She gave him the girlfriend experience. She gave him that real girlfriend experience. Like, hey,
Yeah, but some of that's before she even offered it. No, I'm just saying that there was something there for her as well, is what I'm saying. Is that she enjoyed
you're gonna
waking
hate
up
my
in
theme.
a
She
bed.
she got the girlfriend experience
You're
too.
gonna hate my
Yeah,
theme.
she got
She
it
was giving
too.
him the experience, but she was also getting the experience.
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
getting it.
Yeah.
She was
I think
getting it.
there's nuance with it, but because that's what I like. I like she totally played him,
She played
and
him
by the
like
end,
a fiddle.
he realizes, and now what he's going to do is take that lesson and
Right.
go on and play the
Yeah.
fuking world.
Many
You know what I'm
layers.
saying?
Many layers to
He
this.
did. He joined Scientology. It was that easy.
Yeah, that's what,
That's where it all started.
yeah. He's walking
I just
down.
imagine L. Ron Hubbard on his yacht doing like the sock slide from this
Yes.
movie.
He's got the hat and the
He got
glasses
the fucking captain's hat,
and
the
the
naval hat.
fucking
and shit.
neckerchief thing.
Oh,
Oh,
Jesus.
yeah.
All
That's
right, let's talk about the music. The music is done by Tangerine Dream, who I love, in particular for their score on Near Dark, one of my favorite things to listen to. So over the last week, I've been listening to the score on its own. Oh my God. It captures everything we've been talking about. We were talking about how this movie is cold, yet kind of funny and lighthearted at times, but very real, and also exploring a lot of themes about the 80s and the cold nature that was being bred into the children that were abandoned by their parents. Spillia, you know what I'm talking about? Jelani, Brooks, Eric, y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, we didn't have overbearing fucking parents, or at least, not like we do today. We didn't have apps and fucking security cameras and shit.
Right.
And yeah, when I was left alone, we would have friends over. I threw Jelani and Brooks had been at those parties when my grandmother went out of town for 2 weeks, and we threw a fucking raging fucking party in this tiny ass apartment, right? Y'all been there for that, right?
Yep.
We were left alone a lot. And what it did was it started a world of people, us, our generation, Generation X, early millennials, like where connection was something that we had to find out about later, usually. And we made our connection through things like television shows or ideologies or the idea of like greed is good. And especially like if you're older, you know, most of us were very young in the 80s. Spilio was in his 40s in the 80s. So there's lots of so there's a little bit of a difference there. But if you're about to go into high school, I mean, if you're about to go into college in 1983, what are you being taught, especially at that level, right? Where you're wanting to go to Princeton. It's all about making money. And I even remember this in my high school, and I'm sure you'll all remember the same thing. There were people that were picking professions, and they were actually pressured by their family, by their parents, by society, pressured to kind of go into the direction where there's more money. Well, I want to do this, but I'm going to be an engineer and study computer science because that's where the money is, right? But imagine that now, though, in this Reagan era where Wall Street's really starting to come up. I mean, there's a reason Oliver Stone made Wall Street. There's a reason why these movies exist. And Risky Business to me is quite prophetic because I don't think it was quite there yet, but it was definitely on its way. But then again, I'm 2 years old in 1983 and not 49 like Spilio was. But
2-year-old trying to get that money.
But that cold disconnect,
Fuck
right? And I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I love you.
But like the 80s, cool, neon lights, fast music. It's a fast fucking era. Cocaine's like the most popular drug. You know, everybody's getting into speed and it's move, move, move. Things are staying open 24 hours, like McDonald's extending their hours. Like this changes humanity. And this is the world we grew up in, where everything's nonstop all the time. It's even crazier now. I can't imagine being this age now. You know what I'm saying? I'm so glad that we're of the last generations really that didn't have the internet when we were kids. You know, like I'm so glad because it's just I can't even imagine what it's like. I can't even imagine what it would be like. But
no.
The music captures that.
Oof.
Captures the speed of the 80s. It captures the cold, nihilistic, full force into embracing the darkest sides of capitalism. It embodies that. It embodies a youthful hope. And it is coming of age, but it's coming of age in an unsettling, melancholy way where we all learn lessons hard and take the wrong lessons sometimes from the experiences of our life. In my opinion, I think Joel goes on to do exactly what Lana did to him, but he does it to many more people, like on Wall Street or in, you know, taking over some business or some shit like that. Just this cold, matter-of-fact thing. The music fucking captures it. And it helps elevate some of those scenes. You can have great visuals, but when you have that music behind it, it elevates it. It elevates it like a motherfucker. Speaking of elevating like a motherfucker, Brooks is probably high as hell right now. I don't know. Brooks, why don't you tell us what you thought about the music in the film?
I like the music in this film. And like, you know, like this film is a comedy for the most part, but like the soundtrack does not, like it doesn't have that kind of like lighthearted, goofy feel. Like the music in this movie is always like dramatic, it feels like to me. Even though it's like, you know, it is in a very like 80s synth kind of way. But it feels like, you know, even when there's like a scene that's...
Spilio hasn't learned to turn his mic off yet.
At least I did mute myself when it happened to me. So
I'm just going to mute him real quick. All right. I got to go pee.
Good times.
Even when a scene like, you know, something funny is happening, sometimes like the music will be like telling my brain like that it's not funny, like, you know, that it's dramatic, and like it works. I think it works as a movie because, you know, it's like I've been saying, like this movie does kind of strike a balancing act between, like, you know, a kind of more morose dramatic setting and, like, you know, a more comedic, you know, teen comedy kind of thing, and then like that, like just a good soundtrack, you know, like, and like at no point does it go goofy, and like, and that's what I think they rely on, like the soundtrack songs, like, you know, the Bob Seger and all that. That's for like the more lighthearted stuff, but the score itself tends to stay more, you know, dramatic, I guess.
Yeah. The music is so fucking good in this movie. Like 100%. And you've nailed it right there. And yeah, he
I
does
feel like
go
I
to
was
work
in the
with stuff.
soundtrack without the movie. Like I wouldn't think this was a comedy soundtrack. I wouldn't think.
No, and also its use of like popular music. This guy's a Bruce Springsteen song in there. Like I said, up in the air tonight, like used impeccably well. Hey, Spilio, real quick.
Sorry,
When you step away, you got to mute your mic. I got to take a piss. All right. Speaking of taking a piss,
Wow.
Eric, what do you think about the music in the film?
Dude, so I feel like it's a disservice that this is my first time seeing it, because I feel like you got to look at the music two different ways. Like the soundtrack itself, it has a lot of these popular songs on here, really recognizable. But the unfortunate truth is, I feel like when it comes to the soundtrack, like there's so many movies that have done it better. We talked about like Miami Vice with In the Air Tonight. It's like, yeah, sorry, that hit harder. And I could think of probably like 17 examples of when the Talking Heads is jamming on the freaking, speakers at a party that's hitting. And listen, it's an 80s movie, so you have to have the Talking Heads at a party, but it's been done better somewhere else. So the soundtrack, I feel like, let it down. But yeah, Tangerine Dream, the score of the movie is just like pitch perfect. It hits all of the notes that it needs to with that electronic krautrock thing that it's doing. And I don't know, it's perfect for the tone that's being set when the score is playing.
Yeah. And it's got that one like kind of like jingle, right? That goes through the right? That the kind of thing. And it sounds to me like the very beginning of the Bangles' Hazy Shade of Winter, which is one of my favorite fucking covers ever, right? It also sounds a little bit like the beginning of some of the music in Bloodsport, right? Some of the music almost could fit in a fighting game of the era. You know what I'm saying? But man, it's got this haunting and contemporary tone to it. Like the haunting nature of the cold reality of what kids were being taught in the 80s. And like, I mean, it's saying, I think there's levels. I apparently really like this film because we're talking about the music right now, and it keeps bringing me back to what I think this movie's about. Jelani, though, what about you? What do you think about the music? Is that Tangerine Dream, baby?
Yeah, it was some good Tangerine Dream. And while we were talking, I realized to just go back on a point. All of Tom Cruise's friends were sitting around in the diner, and they were, they were talking about how they were going to go to good schools to make money and do these things and all this stuff. He was like, "Well, I want to do it to serve man." To do Batman, and they were like, "Ha ha, you fool, you idiot!"
They fucking stone this guy with French fries, is what they do, man.
Yeah, and it's similar to what this music is doing. It's because these kids are growing up. They're gonna go to high school. They're gonna go into their corporate lives or their whatever job makes them the money, and whatever makes them the money is what it's gonna be. Tangerine Dream is awesome in this. This is great soundtrack. This is it's dark, it's foreboding. It also can be peppy. It has like its ups. It has a few ups in it. You're right, Eric. It doesn't use In the Air Tonight. It doesn't hit the way it's supposed to, because In the Air Tonight, if you're gonna do it, it should be throughout the love scene, and not just that goofy part where the guy is eating the chip or the cookie or whatever, and they have to kick him off. It ends, and then it starts the soundtrack. I mean the score, which is good, but I think it should have been throughout that scene. Because if you're gonna have the popular music in it, you might as well put the popular music in it for the right.
See, I actually like the way it's built up. I really do.
Fine.
Like
I said, I love that scene. The scene is great. You know what I'm saying? That whole scene is fantastic. It's just sometimes I think of that music placement. I don't know what it is, but it hits me differently.
I still think it's better than The Hangover, but that's just me. But
it's Mike Tyson singing and he punches something.
Speaking of punching Mike Tyson, Castle, what do you think about the music in the film?
I gotta pee again. I'll be right back. Back in the 80s, sorry, but people don't realize at that time, around 83, 84, 85, a lot of the movies was using music and, just the soundtrack. I mean, for the music for soundtrack, I mean, you're talking about Superman 78, you're talking about Conan and everything. And at that time, Tangerine Dream was huge. They weren't like an underground thing. They were really, really big. Like Robbie said, they did Near Dark and they did a couple other movies. Actually, I don't know if they did some Friday the 13th movie. They did something for Friday the 13th. But the intense of the music in the two scenes, and I brought one back from before, was the bike scene, where it was like you were like intense, like what's going on. But I love the music for On the Train. Other than like what Jelani said, I really liked the music because it kept you like, I don't want to say excited.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, it was like, oh, this music was a dun, 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 and it was like, oh, what's gonna happen? Are they really gonna have sex on a train? Was it just ploy, or was it, oh my God, they really are? And it was so freaking intense. And what's funny is it took Tangerine Dream 6 times to get the music right. And Paul Brickman actually went to them because they almost got fired from the movie because they didn't think that the music was right for it until they Brickman and them got together. Then they came with the music with the train scene, and then they were like, okay, we got it. And that through the whole movie was based on that one train scene. So I really love the intense, I love the beauty of it. And at that time, there was nothing, like, I didn't even care about the other movies like the Bob Seger. Of course, that was popular, but with In the Air Tonight, it was more of the orchestra of the music that I think made the movie, top notch.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The score is amazing, and they eventually worked with Michael Mann, right? What's the movie with Jim Belushi that Michael Mann did? Was that Red Heat?
Red Heat with
Red Heat.
Schwarzenegger?
Yeah. So they did that. They, of course, Legend, which I think they did the U.S. release of Legend. I don't know if that's on the director's cut, but the score they did on Legend, the theatrical, is amazing, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What's up, Hialeah? How you doing, buddy?
I don't know who he is either. He's got to go pee. I don't know.
Thief. That's the movie. Thief. They did Thief, the James Caan movie. That's the Michael Mann film, right? Anyway, let's talk about what this movie's about. We've already kind of been skirting around it. Skirting around it. We've been right up in that skirt. You know what I'm saying? Very appropriate for the movie that we're talking about. So, Brooks, what do you think the movie's trying to say? What's it saying to you? What's the theme?
Well, like one of the things like that really stood out for me in this movie is like just the idea of and this is like our society, like growing up in American days, like it was very hyper capitalistic, like you were saying, and like that, like one of the most like tragic parts of that is like we had this generation of kids who felt pressured. They had all this pressure on them, like I have to make the best grades, or I have to I have to be able to kiss the right guy's ass, or like know the right guy or whatever to get ahead. And like I think like the main character Joel, like one part of his like journey in this film is like seeing behind the curtain of like this idea of perform, like you can perform, like you do it the right way, you make the good grades, and you do all this and that, and you'll be successful. But like he knows, like no, man, the way you be successful is you be a con man. You find an easy like resource that you can exploit, and you make money off of it, and make a lot of money really quick, and you just keep doing it. And it's kind of sad. It is like back in the day, like when you think about what you want, like when someone asked you what you wanted to do, and like most kids, like me in particular, would say something like something in the arts, and people would be like, oh, you ain't gonna make any money that way.
Yeah.
And that they were true. That's true, because the like that industry is very exploitative as well. Like artists wouldn't end up making much for their work as much as the con artists who buy the artist's art and use it to make money, you know? It's like this whole idea of like, you just have to, like, the people who make money aren't the people who work. Like, you know, trying to do the right thing, like, you know, do it legit. It'll only get you, like, you know, a job as a drone. And then, like, you know, when as soon as your boss, like, doesn't need you anymore, he'll just, like, toss you aside without a second thought. But yet these con artists will, like, always be making money because they'll always be moving on to a new grift. They'll find new marks, you know, and that's just kind of the way it is. It's just like it's kind of like the dark shadow of that kind of 80s sentiment, I guess. And it's something that's really, like, you know, started to come back around in the modern day, you know, where we're still feeling the effects of, you know, this idea of, you know, easy money, and, like, you know, everybody trying to get easy money, but, like, you know, just it's harder that, you know, the only way to do it is to be, you know, one of these slimy con men types.
Yeah, you gotta sell your soul, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You gotta sell your soul. You gotta sell your body. You gotta give it up.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta give it up for the
like,
greater
you know,
good.
The girl, she's like, you know, she's grifting too, but, like, you know, she's not in the kind of privileged place that Joel is in, you know.
Yeah. This is like the dark inverted side of Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
That'd be a really interesting double feature.
Back then, in my body, I got nothing. I got nothing in return.
No, but Brooks, you're right there on the money, man. And I think that's the tragedy of this film, is because he learns the wrong lesson, right? Like, he learns that he got into Princeton. I mean, he missed his midterm. He fucking assaulted the nurse. He gets into Princeton because old Stanley from It 1990 got fucking laid at this fucking kid's house. You know what I'm saying? Princeton could use a man like Joel.
A cop, man.
You had to butter him up.
Yeah, no shit. He learned the wrong lessons, or did he learn the right ones? Because this next movie was all the right moves. But anyway, that was a weird stretch for a bit. Eric, speaking of weird stretches, hey, what do you think about the theme? What's the movie speaking to you?
To me, this movie is all about control, right? Whether that be the idea of control or actually controlling. Like, throughout the entire movie, Joel is trying to control his adolescence. That's kind of where the movie starts, when he's talking about the dream sequence and, like, you know, what they're looking for, especially when he's talking to that friend Glenn, who seems to be able to get whatever he wants whenever he wants. But he's also trying to control, like, the parental guidance that's over him, and the pressures that they're putting on his shoulders, right? He's trying to control his future. And Lana gives him an avenue where she feels like she's letting him be in control. She's going, you know, he's controlling her well-being by allowing her to stay at his place, and, you know, kind of taking her away from Guido and giving her something that she can look forward to. But the same thing with Lana. Lana's looking to control him throughout the entire movie, even the end, even though Robbie disagrees with it. So yeah, it's just all about the nature of control, whether, you know, and the people that seek it out, and whether we truly ever have it or not.
Dude, that's a really, really fucking profound point about control. You're right. And that's a part of what Brooks was saying, I believe, too. Like, it's all a part of the same thing, right? Like, control, like, I'm in control. And the way you do that is to force your will on other people sometimes. Or like Brooks said, grift people, right? Like, let's think about the movie Wall Street, Oliver Stone. We've never done that movie on PCP Movie Night. Why not? Because we really need to. Also, its spiritual successor in the early 2000s, Boiler Room. Boiler Room is an incredibly underrated film that kind of takes those ideas and moves it into a new era, right? So, like, the idea of that's what it is. Like, I can convince these people to do this. I can get these people to leave their money. Like, I can use this. I can control it. I feel like I'm in control. Rebecca De Mornay is exercising control, but she actually doesn't have that control. Guido has that control. But then does he, right? And then, and dude, I almost called Joel Goodson Ethan Hunt. I really did. I almost said, and Ethan learns. But no, control, that's fucking profound. Speaking of profound, Delaney's got a profound fucking sense of the business practices between sex work. Me too, don't worry about it. So Delaney, what do you think about the theme of the movie? What's it trying to say?
Well, I mean, Brooks, Eric, and even Robbie right now, you're making great points. But I think the most important thing is you can't make a hoe a housewife. You can't take the fish out of the bowl and try to make it work. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things that are in this movie, and I'm not just saying Rebecca De Mornay. I'm saying everyone in the movie, Joel himself. Joel, you can't take it out and use it and think that it will work all the time. Because if you take the fish out of the bowl, eventually it's going to run out of air. I mean, yes, he's learning the wrong lessons. He's learning everything that he could possibly learn the wrong way, but it's going to work for him because he has that lifeline of privilege. He has everything, all the tools he needs. And he made his house a brothel and got into Princeton. That's kind of baller. But you still can't take that fish out of the water, because eventually this is gonna blow up in his face. It will be his privilege in some points. It will work in certain ways, but I think he will fail in the end, just because he thinks he's going to continue to be this con man and continue to do it, and it's going to backfire one way or another. Karma always catches up to you. I think it's just one of those things where, he got his kicks. He learned some things. He even manhandled a nurse, which, it's kind of a little messed up, man. I really think that was a messed up scene in the movie. She
looks like she fucking deserved it, though.
Yeah, she did.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
She's coming at it. She's coming at it.
She seemed like a really fucking crotchety old mean person.
But like the choke, but having to,
don't grab someone's shirt. That's the step beyond.
Shirt.
Like, you grab somebody's shirt and his fists are coming out, man. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
You don't do that. But there are just certain things that you do in this world. It's gonna come back to you, no matter what. I mean, sure, she grifted him, took all of his things, basically had the party, and then had Guido steal all the stuff out of the house for him to pay for it back as extortion, which was crazy. I kept hearing while they were doing that, I kept hearing the Ferris Bueller music. The parents are coming back, and he's like
this
buying
movie's very, very similar, man. You got the fucking dad's car that gets wrecked.
Yeah,
you got the mad dash to get back home and all that shit.
Yeah. It's a mirror image, but it's a dark mirror image, because that's kind of messed up. He made $8,000 and had to give it right back, but that was the plan to begin with. You know what I'm saying? So like he got all this money just to lose it, and it's gonna come back to him in one way or another. So that's how I see it. And it's not just what she did, although I didn't trust her the second she said you can be my boyfriend, or I can be your girlfriend for a couple of days. The second she said that, I was like, nope. Nope.
Now, one thing I do want to say is, when we were having that discussion about whether or not she was in love with him, here's the thing. Like I said, maybe not in love. And here's the right thing, because she does say this in the movie. She likes him. And that's what kind of fucking, I'm not saying that, but there's a difference. She didn't fall in love with Joel, but she liked him. And there was a part of her that kind of felt.
But
and there's a part of him that feels bad about it too.
To finish the grift, she still did the con. The con was
that's
still
the cold nature of it, man. And this movie's exploring not just like capitalism or 80s culture. It's not just exploring that. It's exploring relationships.
Yeah.
It's exploring this sad nature of most relationships, which are just they're about control. It's about trying to fulfill a fantasy. It's about trying to manipulate someone. And it's a very cold, brutally honest look at most relationships, especially early on in your life.
When they were both in front of the car before it went into the lake, she actually said, I'm really trying to talk to you. So at that point, I think that she was like, I want to be your friend. But like you said, Robbie, I don't think she was falling for him.
She wasn't.
No,
but she did like him. What about you, Spillio? What's this movie saying to you?
One word: capitalism. That's it. I think that's all it is. From the present to the future. That was the main thing. Back then, I mean, you didn't have trade schools like you do now. You could be a nurse. You could be a massage therapist. You could be something without...
dental hygienist. Yes.
Yeah, you could go do that without going to college. But back then, that's all you were taught. You have to go to college. You have to do good in school. You have to do this. So, because that's what I would...
trash. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, nothing.
That's a lot of pressure, right? And we all
And-
remember when we were at the end of our high school career and everybody was telling us these decisions you make today will affect the rest of your life. And you're like, what the fuck, dude? I don't even know what I want to do this weekend.
Yeah.
Right.
When I was in middle school, which was 7th and 8th grade, they had like a report that what do you want to do, for a job in the future? So right back then, you were already saying, okay, what are you going to do? So it's either school or you're a freaking dropout. It's one of the two. What I liked about the movie is that it actually showed you in many scenes of how important that was and the competition of who's going where, So that's how it was back then, because, either you did that or you did freaking Burger King, which I'm not knocking, but that's what people thought of back then. So the pressure of going to school was so big. And that's what I liked about this movie, is that the pressure and everything of going and making good or bad decisions of how to do it. That's what I like. Yeah, thank you.
You have all, you choked me up, man. That was so poignant. You have all hit the nail on the head, right? With Brooks's exploration of how sad it is that this is a generation of kids that are being brought into this world and it's going to influence society. And we've seen some of the ramifications of it, right? It's about control, the lack of control that we have in our lives and how we try to exert that control onto other people sometimes because we lack it within ourselves. It's about not trusting people too easily, especially young, especially when you're talking about love and emotions. And sometimes a fuck is just a fuck. And that's just what it's supposed to be. And we've all, maybe not all of us have been in this position, but we all know people that have been in that position where the first taste they got, it got a hold of them and it never let them go. Never. You know what I'm saying? Never let them
fall
go.
in love too soon.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
Also about that pressure. You got to do this. You got to know right now. I remember a DARE officer coming into first grade being like, making everybody go up in front of the fucking class and tell us what you want to be when you grow up. And I said, I want to be on TV.
Really?
Mission accomplished. So that was it. In what way? I didn't care. I just wanted to be on TV, right? Because I idolized those stars because we grew up in this era where both parents are at work. Is that good or bad? I think it's fine. But what I'm saying is there's a disconnect with the family, but there's still that pressure of expectation from the family, right? And then you've got the pressure from your peers. Oh, well, I'm doing this. Oh, I don't have to pay for it. Oh, you haven't had sex yet? Do you remember the pressure it was when you were a virgin? And like, it seemed like when you were 12 years old, everybody had sex but you. And I'm like, what the fuck kind of sick world do we live in, y'all? We're like 12, 13. I don't even know if we can properly nut yet. But here we are being pressured into the idea that we need to not be a virgin. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's all this pressure, the pressure into sex, the pressure into adult life, the pressure into what do you want to do? You got to make money. You got to do this. You need the car, you need the house, you need all this stuff. Right. So to me, this movie, I think you all said it, right? So all I'll add is this. It's incredibly fucking sad is what this movie is, right? Because it is a warning, a very cynical warning This movie does not expect things to get better between Joel and Lana. No, they do not get together at the end. That's why the new ending, when she goes, well, will we see each other again? And he's joking about it. It has a different tone. Man, I'm basing almost all my thoughts on this movie on that original fucking last 30 seconds of that movie. Like, it gives you the tone of they both knew what had happened. They both knew that this was never going to happen again. But there's this element of like tragedy. The fact that we are sacrificing connection for the greater good, which is making more money.
Absolutely.
Which is building more for me. Hoarding. Greed is good. This is this era. This is the Reagan stuff.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? This is like, we make more money and then it will trickle down. Like, that's that whole fucking idea. That was what was driving this shit. And then add into the idea that this is a very fast time. Hair's getting shorter. Fashion's getting more angular, right? It's tighter. It's not loose. It's not hippie. It's not long hair. I mean, there's the glam rock stuff, but think about everything else. Like, there's more spiky shit. Everything's more angular. Everything's tighter in. And you're kind of like in this fast thing. Everybody's doing coke. That's the big thing. And it's all about speed, speed, speed. Those fast cars, the fast music. It's all there, right?
Yep.
It's about the allure of cool at the expense of becoming cold inside and shutting yourself off from connection. Not necessarily emotion, because that emotion's still felt and it's delved out in different ways and probably not so good. But like, this is that day of excess, fast, now. And I think, y'all, we act like that was the day of excess and now and, you know, instant gratification. We're well beyond that. We're like so far deep into that now, because we are the people that were raised in this generation, man. We want Mac tonight. We want it now. You know what I'm saying? We talking about McDonald's closes at 8. Fuck you. This is an active world that never stops. And there's a positive side of that, and there's a very negative side of that. And Paul Brickman had a very negative view of things. So much so that he learned how Hollywood was, and he was like, fuck you, I'm never making another movie again.
A very realistic view, I think.
Yeah.
Negative, but realistic.
It was
Realistic, cynical though.
Yep.
Right? Because I like to think that one day we will get to Star Trek.
Yeah.
But I don't think we will.
But not yet. We'll kill each other first.
Well, also remember the story we tell. It all starts with the story we tell ourselves. And as a society, we're telling ourselves that we're leading ourselves to an apocalypse.
Yep,
so maybe we need some brighter futures in our
do.
fiction, maybe just a little bit, because maybe Paul Brickman is a magician and he led us to this fucking current world that we live in. Who knows?
Yeah, we need Gandahar before the evil robots started coming
No
in.
shit.
Right.
Gandahar. What a throwback, man.
Yeah.
Last year when we were like Cruz Choice, Joe Corrallo's like, Gandahar. What the fuck is that, Joe? It's a French animated film. Of course it is. But it was a good movie.
It was
Really
wild. Yeah.
Really good one. All right, time to rate the film out of 5 possible you digs. What do you give? Risky Business. Brooks, you out there in the chat along.
Well, this movie like surprised me. Like, you know, I ended up enjoying this movie like a lot more than I thought it was. I thought it was just going to be like, you know, a goofy teen comedy with Tom Cruise. And it's so much more than that. So like, I give this one a 5, dude. Like, I really did like this movie. Like, if I saw this movie like on a shelf at the store somewhere, I'd pick it up. No doubt, man.
Fuck yeah. An instant buy. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely want to watch this movie again at some point.
By the way, I was at Walmart and I saw for $15 on DVD all 7 Police Academy films. So if you ever want to revisit that one, Brooks, they're at Walmart right now.
Yes.
Good choice.
Eric, out of 5 you digs, what do you give Risky Business?
Nice, Eric.
I was equally surprised, right? I didn't really know what to expect. I kind of expected the Porky's kind of approach to it, and it delivered something more so, dare I say, elevated, right? I think that it was a little bit clunky in parts, and I think that there was a way that they could have leaned either one direction or another to make it a little bit more cohesive. But I thought this movie was definitely a solid 3 for me.
A 3.
A 3.
All right, fair enough. What about you, Jelani? What are you thinking?
I liked it. I'll watch it again. It's one of those movies where I was surprised that I would enjoy it as much as I did. That's what gets me. I'm gonna give this one a 4. I think this is a decent film. It's got great music. It's got a decent cast. Yeah, I knew what the situation was when it came up. Like you can't fall in love, man. You can't leave at your house. You got to take it to the ATM with you. You can't play around. You got to pay them. You got to leave them in the end. And it's one of those movies where it feels weird that I liked it this much. So I'll give it a 4.
All right. Nice. What about you, Spillio? What do you think about it?
Oh, before I say that, 62 Lefty Blues, I will never watch Rebel Moon ever.
No.
Ever. Why? Why would I waste my time?
No.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the director's cut personally because I'm a simp for Zack Snyder. So.
Exactly. Me too. Exactly.
Garbage. He's a hack. He is a hacky hack. Have someone write your movies and you do, and you make the storytelling. You write it, you're a hack. Hackety hack, Shyamalan hack. There, I'm done. Hack.
Well, I have from the beginning, first time seeing it, and now, because I'm seeing it in 2 different ways, is that first off, I would give it a 4.5. Okay, because learning of how it got made to like how it was in 83, to see how Tom Cruise, like he does now, he morphs into his character. Back then, he was doing The Outsiders, right? So when they asked him to come in to screen test, he looked like his character from Outsiders. And they were like, no, this is not what we want. So they asked him to gain weight and everything and to change his hair to become Joel. And he did. And I don't know if you guys know, the first person they asked to get for Rebecca DeMay, what's her name? Rebecca
Dormain.
It was Diane Lane. She
really?
Was yes,
Whoa.
she was.
She can pull it off too. She's got.
I had heard that Michelle Pfeiffer was considered too.
Also seductive.
Mhm.
Yes.
Diane Lane.
They all work.
She got the job, but her father told her not to take it because of the subject of the movie. So that, then, like Robbie said in the beginning, that was her first movie, and the chemistry of them both made the movie. You could tell. And actually, what happened because of this movie, they dated for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So after it,
here's a funny story. I don't know how many people know about this. I found this out today.
Okay.
The original Guido was supposed to be played by Harry Dean Stanton.
Really?
Who was dating Rebecca De Mornay at the time.
Yes.
Who put her name to the people in the movie. And then she started taking a shine to Tom Cruise during the auditions. And they were like, we don't need to have this weird triangular energy going on with the 3 of them. So Harry Dean Stanton did not wind up in the movie, and they gave it to Joey Pants. But then Rebecca and Harry got back together, I believe.
Yeah.
But it's really weird. Think about Rebecca in this movie. Harry had just done Escape from New York. Really, Rebecca?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So you can't fault her to fall for Tom Cruise. You can't. So
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
But after finding out, because in the beginning I would say it was a 4, but after finding out how this movie got made, how, what they had to go through and everything with Tom Cruise, it wasn't their number 1. I don't know if people know this. Tom Cruise was not their number 1. It was
Timothy Hutton, right?
No, it was Michael J. Fox.
I could see that.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
It was Michael J. Fox.
Timothy Hutton was one too. He was up there, I believe.
So was Nicolas Cage was also up for it. He turned it down. So they really had to push.
Dude, Michael J. Fox plays this character basically in Family Ties.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, this is totally
Yeah,
Alex P. Keaton.
Exactly.
He's Alex
But
P.
you
Keaton.
can see it.
Yeah.
You know, so
I
they
get
had to push really Tom Cruise and Rebecca to, you know, for the company that say, look, these are future stars. They're going to do good. So after learning all about that, I have to give it a 4.5 because the artistic view of it, the way they did it, I really, really loved how the movie ended up. And the original ending or not, you could take it or leave it, but I enjoyed it.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's dope. All right. Steph was up in the chat. Let me find the comment. Steph gave it a 4.5. I'm giving this one a 4.5. I really enjoyed the revisit. Watched it twice this week. Hell yeah. All right. So I'm going to give it, I want to give it a 5. I do, but I'm not. The reason why I'm not is because they didn't do the original ending. They gave it a little bit of a softer ending, right?
Yeah, I think the one I watched had the original ending because
Me too.
The scene where they're at the restaurant. Like,
Yeah,
that
but
was in my
then it
version.
goes to them walking in the park,
Right.
right?
Mm.
Basically, it is that scene, but there's a different. Then it cuts. Like
It's an inflection.
it's a different.
Yeah.
Like they added the
We'll
scene
take
in the
that out.
park to give it like more of a hopeful ending that maybe they'll get back to. They're gonna make it work out.
Yes.
These
Yeah.
crazy kids.
Yeah,
They're
they
gonna work
stay
it out. He's gonna go make a lot of money and take care of her, and they get to play house for the rest of their lives. No.
Can't make a whole housewife.
No, that's not what's supposed to happen in this movie. The whole thing is they both are supposed to realize it's over, it's done. And now he is the one controlling her by like consoling her because she realizes nothing's changed for her in her life. You know what I'm saying? And now this kid's going on and she knows like you're going to be a future John. You're one of those douchebags, right? And he learned a lesson from her, right? So the thing is, the movie is still there. I think it's nuanced. I think it's great. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. The music is top notch. The original ending, I would give it 5. This, I'll give a 4.69.
Okay.
So a 4.69 for me. And like Brooks, we really pulled it out of the hat on this one. I think like, here's the thing.
That's
You even
awesome.
said, what's the one with the sock slide? And I said, Risky Business. And you were like, that one. Yeah, right? So, man, like,
love you, Brooks.
I'm the same way with you, Brooks. When I see this movie next time, like, I got to own this. Like last week, I said, I need to own Days of Thunder because a lot of these Tom Cruise movies I don't own. I do own some, Brooks, but I don't own them all. And this is like Cruise choice. I don't have a lot of these movies. And I want to watch, I want to own Days of Thunder, but in particular, before I buy that, I got to buy Risky Business.
Yes.
This is one I want to rewatch like now. I want to go back and watch it again. There's something about it tonally and just atmospherically and just how layered it is for what it is. What, it's a 1983 fucking coming of age teenage sex comedy.
Yeah.
With Balky and Booger.
Yeah.
This movie's
Before,
randomly.
before they were them. Yeah.
Exactly. The very next year, by the way, Revenge of the Nerds, right?
Yeah.
So, like, fuck, that movie's 40 years old now, John. How's that make you feel? You watched that when you were 58.
You know, I will like. Wait. That was
All right.
answer.
So we got
fight in Vietnam.
We got a 5 from Brooks, a 3.
Fuck you, Delaney.
A 5 from Brooks, a 3 from Eric, a 4 from Jelani, a 4.5 from Spilio, a 4.5 from Link, and a 4.69 from me for a PCP average of a 4.28, 169. Eric really kind of brought that down a little bit, man. I mean, bro, you're a harsh ass critic, bro. You thought Serious
great.
Man was like a 3.5. You think this one's a 3? Like, what the fuck do you think about Schindler's List, brother? 2.
Okay, well, I couldn't give this a
Too much
3.5
swinging
if I
dick.
gave Serious Man a 3.5. They're not the same movie there. I have to grade appropriately. And you talk
Don't
about
worry,
this
man.
alternate ending so much.
After a few more, you can watch the alternate ending. I'm telling you, like, it's not that much different, but the way it ends, just whatever.
I can work my way up to a 3.5.
No,
We'll see.
because the way he words it at the end, when you hear the words from Tom Cruise saying, I forget what he says, with that ending, it hits you really hard.
Yeah, so you've seen that original ending. Did you watch that, John?
Yeah.
Dude, fucking great.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
Yeah.
It just really hits the nail on the head. But still, a 4.28169 isn't too shabby for a movie that we thought was just going to be a good, fun, like jokey romp.
Yeah.
So hell yeah. Thank you, Link, man. I just wish everything could have worked out. You could have been here too. You would have added so much to it.
I missed your Steph. What the heck?
Yeah. All right. Thus concludes our look at Risky Business. Man, another movie review that's cost me however much the Blu-ray is going to be. So if anybody wants to super chat or send, send me a Risky, I'm putting it on my Amazon wish list. Too bad my birthday's already over. But anyway, thank you all so much for being here. Crew's Choice continues next week with Joe Corallo's pick. We're going to be talking about Legend.
Oh, Legend.
In particular, the director's cut of Legend. That's what we're going to be talking about. And you can also catch me Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time on Blood Splatter Chatter to celebrate 1 year of Blood Splatter Chatter here on YouTube. We're doing a horror trivia night, and everybody better be prepared to get their ass beat. Also, May 22nd, 8 p.m. Central Time, we're doing a Patreon exclusive watch-along party with The Crow. I will be watching The Crow here in the studio on VHS, and I'll be live streaming during it so you can watch along with me. So save the date and join us over at patreon.com/PCP. This will be available to all levels of Patreon PCP, which includes $1 or up. So just $1, boom, you're done. And you know what? Patreon takes like 30%, so you really just give me 70 cents. So if you think it's worth 70 cents, join us on May 22nd. Brooks, thank you so much for being here, man. What you got coming up? Final thoughts.
Just me and Delaney do this Go Figure Reviews thing. Like this past week, we did a live stream, which was pretty fun. Been a while since we've done that.
Yeah, I love the live
stream.
stream.
We got some more stuff coming up. But to close it out, I just say, today's music ain't got the same soul. I like that old time rock and roll.
Hell yeah, brother. You're right about that, dude. I've been listening to Alice in Chains all fucking week, man. They just don't make them like they used to, man. I guess more artists need to get addicted to heroin. Anyway, Eric, thank you so much for being here. 9-panel grid. Check them out on YouTube. Somebody please throw a link out in the chat. What you got coming up, man? Final thoughts.
We got a new comic book review video that just dropped this morning, going over last week's books and my thoughts about them. So go check that out if you have a second. Coming up this Thursday, directly following the horror trivia night over at Blood Splatter Chatter, myself, Nick Comic Culture, and Dr. Doom's fan club are going to be talking with Mark Russell to go over the entire story of Traveling to Mars. And now that it's been finalized, we're going to kind of pick his brain and see how he put all of this stuff together, because it's one of the best books that's come out this year.
Agree.
Heck yeah, that's going to be a super fun show. Mark Russell, man, great gig. Tell him that I said I loved his Superman Space Age and loving his Batman Dark.
Oh, that was so good.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I said that. All right, Jelani, thank you so much for being here as usual. What you got? Final thoughts? What you got coming up?
Yeah, dude. Brooks and I do Go Figure reviews. We did have our live stream last week. Check out the replay. I think it was good. I don't know. I hadn't done one in a while. I was surprised. We're going to do more in the future, of course. And of course, we did I put the review up today of our Jean-Claude Van Damme deluxe action figure. This is the one from Bloodsport, the movie we know and love. I love this figure, and I know Brooks loved this figure too. It's a Diamond Select. It's by far one of the coolest ones. I think the downside for me again is no butterfly joints, and he's got loose legs, but he does the splits.
He does.
Superbly.
He does. I work at a comic book store, and we had 3 of them, and 2 of them are gone. And then we got the one sitting there with him doing the split.
Yeah, it comes with the fucking chairs, even.
The chairs to do the split.
Awesome.
It's so awesome. Check out.
They went a lot on the legs on that figure.
Yeah.
As they should.
Yeah.
As they should.
As they should.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Check us out. Go Figure Reviews.
Everybody go check out Go Figure Reviews. Somebody please throw a link out in the chat for Go Figure Reviews if you do not mind. Spillio, I love seeing you face to face, bruh. I fucking love it so much. I miss you. I miss you and Brittany so much. I love you. Thank you for all the love and support during my birthday, during Mother's Day. I love y'all so fucking much. Thank you for being here. We got to have you on again very, very fucking soon. I'll be sending out the Action Fest list soon, so I'm going to send it your way as well.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, bro. I love you like so fucking much. Final thoughts. What you got, bro?
All right. I'm going to try to keep this short because one, Robbie, you're my brother. I love you. I love you what you do. Brittany, I should say, loves you too and everything. And Brooks and Jelani, I heard so much about you guys and I feel privileged of being on the screen with you too because I know how close you guys are and I am waiting, patiently to see you guys because, I can't wait.
Cool.
And Eric, first time, best friend. I
Hell
really
yeah.
enjoyed you today. It was awesome and all. And again, Robbie, thank you for, thinking of me in this community because it is awesome, and, in the 80s was a great time. It really, really was. And like Robbie said, it was fast paced and everything. But the main thing about the 80s, what is very important to me was friends. Okay. Because friends is what you had with no phones, with no internet. And, to hang out with friends, meaning go down to the VHS store to get Risky Business and freaking come home and watch it and replay the sex scene over and over and over and over.
It's always got that tracking issue.
Yes,
Yeah.
and freaking remember to rewind, but it, I'm very privileged to live during that time and everything. And I would go back in a second. And the way you guys want to talk about it and relive it and do the movies and the shows that you do, I love you guys. And for me to be on here, trust me, it's one of my joys of being on here. And hopefully you guys have me back. So thank you so much.
Fuck yeah. I got an open spot next week for Legend. You just let me know.
Dude, I'm on. I actually saw that in the theaters again. Okay.
He's seen every Tom Cruise movie in the fucking theaters, goddammit.
He was so big back then, even when he wasn't. So yeah, dude, if you want me, I'll be on again.
All right, it's set in stone. So let it be written, so let it be done. The director's cut.
Okay.
In particular.
I'll do that. I'll do
the
it.
director's cut. I don't know where to find it. I got the disc, so
I got it. I'll find it somewhere.
Hell yeah. All right. John, I love you. Thank you so much. But you said you were going to keep that short. You went a little long.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
Eyes.
I just want to express the love, man. Full of love. I just want to give it to everybody.
Nah, and it's well earned, man, especially directed towards you. So thank you so much, man. We love you. We love you, PCP Army. Thank you so much. Next week, join us for Legend, the director's cut. Join me on Verno's channel, Blood Splatter Chatter, for his 1-year anniversary trivia night. And don't forget, join patreon.com/PCP for as little as $1 a month. You can join along in the Patreon exclusive watch party to The Crow. First time I've watched it in 20 years, and I don't have a good opinion of it. So
oh, come on.
See what happens.
Yeah, he's never a fan.
But I do love the comic.
I'm definitely there. So,
all right, dude, it's going to be fun.
Yes.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much. And for my final thoughts, my name's Rockin' Robbie Billups. I made $8,000 in one night. Ain't life grand? That's another thing. The way he delivers that line at the end, it's sad. His delivery of that line, right? By the way, $8,000, 1983. Today, maybe that's not a lot to sniff at. I would fucking kill to make $8,000 in one night. What do we got to do? I guess be hitmen.
I don't care. I'll do it.
See y'all. Catch you next time.